The Gaither Vocal Band has long stood as a cornerstone of Southern gospel music, a group deeply rooted in faith, family, and powerful harmonies that have inspired believers around the world. Over the decades, it has become much more than a musical ensemble. It has evolved into a symbol of Christian testimony and spiritual unity. The group's legacy shines brightly, thanks in part to the many talented voices that have passed through its ranks, including beloved figures like Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith. Their heartfelt performances, soulful harmonies, and unwavering faith left a lasting impression on audiences everywhere. Yet, as with all long-standing musical ministries, change is inevitable. The recent departure of Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith from the Gaither family tours and live performances came as a shock to many devoted fans. Questions naturally arose. Was it personal? Was there tension behind the scenes? Or was it simply time for a new chapter? In this piece, we explore not only their reasons for leaving, but also celebrate their incredible contributions, faith-filled legacies, and the graceful way they handled this transition. In a world where change often stirs drama and controversy, it's refreshing to witness two respected artists step away with such calmness, dignity, and faith. Their exits from the Gaither Vocal Band were not marked by bitterness or conflict, but by what seemed to be the gentle prompting of God's Spirit, guiding them toward a new season of ministry and personal renewal. Such examples of humility and discernment often go unnoticed. Yet they are powerful reminders of the integrity that true spiritual leadership embodies. For many fans, it's difficult to imagine the Gaither Vocal Band without the distinctive warmth of Lynda's soul-stirring delivery or the steady, graceful harmonies of Reggie Smith. Their voices carried more than music. They carried messages of comfort, healing, and conviction. Together they poured years of effort into countless concerts, worship nights, and television appearances, moments that touched lives and drew people closer to God. But just like the natural cycles of life, their departure represents not an ending, but a transition. Just as trees let go of their leaves with the faith that spring will bring new growth, these artists have stepped into a new phase of life and ministry, trusting that God has more in store. It's important to remember that the life of a touring artist, especially in ministry, is demanding. Traveling constantly, being in the public eye, balancing family life, and maintaining personal spiritual health is no small task. Such work requires immense endurance, humility, and an unwavering sense of purpose. When artists like Lynda and Reggie choose to slow down or redirect their focus, it is not a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of wisdom and maturity. Knowing when to step back and let God lead in new directions shows true devotion to the calling, rather than to the fame that may come with it. Their decision exemplifies the heart of servanthood, choosing obedience over visibility and faithfulness over applause. Moreover, their decision to step aside opens doors for new artists and voices to rise. The Gaither Vocal Band has always thrived not merely because of individual talents, but because of its collective spirit, a shared, God-centered mission. When experienced leaders like Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith pass the torch, they make space for others to bring fresh testimonies and renewed energy to the ministry. This isn't an ending. It's a continuation of a much larger story, one that has always been about God's glory, not individual fame. Clinging to the spotlight isn't the essence of the gospel. Instead, it's about carrying the torch of faith and sharing the light. Both Lynda and Reggie have done that faithfully, serving as guiding examples for future generations of worship leaders and gospel singers. Their journey carries an important message, not just for musicians, but for believers everywhere. Our worth isn't determined by how long we stay in the spotlight, how many people recognize our faces, or how often we are praised. What truly matters is our obedience to God's calling wherever it may lead. Whether that calling involves singing before millions or finding peace and restoration in private seasons, each phase has divine purpose. Jesus himself modeled this rhythm, times of public ministry and times of solitude, and Lynda and Reggie have quietly followed that same example. Lynda Randle's voice has been a beacon of hope during difficult times, and through songs like God on the Mountain, she reminded countless listeners of God's steadfast love. Her sincerity, humility, and deep spiritual insight have touched hearts far beyond the stage. Likewise, Reggie Smith's musical excellence and gentle presence have strengthened the band's harmony both musically and spiritually. Often content to let others shine, his quiet leadership has anchored many performances in grace and balance. Their partnership with the Gaither Vocal Band has enriched the ministry immeasurably, and their legacy will continue to resonate through every note sung and every life touched. This moment serves as a gentle reminder to all who have followed their journeys. Let us celebrate every season our spiritual heroes walk through, both the public moments we witness and the private ones we cannot see. Continue to pray for them as they step into this new chapter. Trust that the same God who once called them into ministry is still guiding their paths today. And as fans, believers, and fellow servants, may we carry forward the same mission that Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith have so beautifully upheld, to glorify God, to share His hope, and to lift the weary through the timeless power of music that leads hearts to Jesus. Though they may no longer stand on the touring stage, their influence lives on in the songs they've sung, the people they've inspired, and the faith they've modeled. Before diving further into their departure, it's important to understand the legacy they helped shape. Founded by Bill Gaither in the early 1980s, the Gaither Vocal Band quickly became known for its tight harmonies, gospel-centered lyrics, and rotating lineup of top-tier vocalists. What began as a small group evolved into a global movement, inspiring generations through the Gaither Homecoming series and countless worship experiences. Artists have come and gone, but each has left an indelible mark on the ministry's story. Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith are no exception. Their chapters, though concluding on stage, remain beautifully written in the ongoing story of the Gaither legacy. Among the many beloved figures connected with the Gaither family, two names stood out for their powerful voices and genuine faith: Reggie Smith and Lynda Randle. Both became fan favorites for their musical range, heartfelt performances, and humble spirits. Reggie Smith, a versatile tenor and baritone, brought a strong gospel background and immense vocal flexibility to the stage. Meanwhile, contralto soloist Lynda Randle became one of the most recognizable voices in the late 1990s. Known for her deep, soul-stirring contralto tone, she joined the Gaither family and left an unforgettable impression on audiences around the world. Her performance of God on the Mountain is still remembered as one of the most moving and emotional moments in Gaither Homecoming history. Calm, warm, and unwavering in her faith, Lynda Randle carried a sense of peace and spiritual depth every time she stepped on stage. Born into a large and musically gifted family in Washington, D.C., Lynda was raised in a home that valued both talent and ministry. Her brother, Michael Tate, became well known as a member of DC Talk and later the Newsboys, showing that music and faith ran deeply through their family. Lynda's unique ability to blend modern Christian music with elements of soul and Southern gospel helped her reach audiences beyond traditional boundaries. Outside of performing, Lynda became widely respected for her compassion and her work with women's ministries. She regularly spoke at churches, women's gatherings, and conferences throughout the United States, encouraging others with her testimony and faith. Her mission was never just about music. It was about touching hearts, offering comfort and inspiring others to live with purpose and kindness. Reggie Smith, on the other hand, was celebrated for his humility, musical discipline, and peaceful presence. In addition to his role as a full-time member of the Gaither Vocal Band, he was also an accomplished studio session vocalist, often lending his talent to other artists and productions. Together with his wife, Lady Love Smith, Reggie became a beloved figure within the Gaither community. The two shared a quiet strength and spiritual bond that resonated with fans everywhere. Reggie's role often included performing duets and joining various group ensembles, and he was well known for his ability to adapt, stepping in as a baritone, lead, or tenor whenever needed. His voice could blend seamlessly into any arrangement, and he appeared in countless homecoming videos and live concerts. The chemistry between Reggie and his wife, both musically and spiritually, was something audiences admired deeply. Despite frequent speculation, Reggie Smith and Lynda Randle did not leave the Gaither family together, nor were their departures connected in any way. Officially, there is no evidence that the two left for the same reason or at the same time. Their careers simply took them down different paths. Reggie was a long-term touring member of the Gaither Vocal Band, while Lynda appeared mainly as a guest soloist rather than a regular member. Although they often crossed paths during Gaither events, each made an independent decision to step away and focus on new seasons of life. Lynda Randle's gradual withdrawal from Gaither events became noticeable around 2018 and 2019. No official statement was ever released, but several possible reasons became apparent. The first was her growing focus on her personal ministry. Over time, Lynda began dedicating more of her attention to solo performances, family commitments, and community outreach. Like many artists who spend years touring, she may have felt called to prioritize her health, family, and spiritual growth. Another possible reason was her desire for creative freedom. Artists often feel drawn to explore new musical directions or projects outside of established groups, and Lynda's gentle departure seemed to reflect that natural evolution. Importantly, there were no signs of conflict or disagreement between her and the Gaither team. Even after stepping back, she continued to be cherished in the Christian music world and occasionally returned for special appearances. Reggie Smith's departure, however, was more noticeable since he was part of the core Gaither Vocal Band lineup. He officially stopped touring around mid-2023. The possible causes behind his exit were similar to Lynda's: family obligations and ministry priorities. Reggie and Lady Love Smith have long emphasized the importance of family and faith, and it's possible they wanted to focus more on local ministry. Touring can also be physically and emotionally demanding, and Reggie may have needed time for rest, recovery, or personal renewal. Another possibility is that he wanted to return to studio work or pursue creative projects with his wife. Like Lynda, there were no reports of any disagreements or disputes regarding his departure. One of the most persistent questions among fans has been whether Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith had a personal or professional falling out. According to every reliable source available, the answer is no. There has never been any evidence of conflict between them. Both artists have always carried themselves with grace and humility, showing mutual respect in every collaboration. Their performances together during Gaither homecoming concerts reflected unity, joy, and shared faith, not division. While fans may speculate based on timing or silence, such assumptions are entirely unfounded. When beloved members leave the Gaither family, fans naturally feel a sense of sadness and curiosity. On social media and fan forums, many express their concern, asking questions like, "Why has Lynda disappeared from recent videos?" Or, "Reggie's voice was such an anchor. What happened?" With no official announcements, speculation filled the void. But most fans ultimately chose to honor their contributions and respect their privacy. As of 2025, both artists continue to live out their callings in meaningful ways. Lynda Randle still releases new gospel music from time to time, organizes online devotionals and women's conferences, and actively shares songs and scriptures on social media to encourage her followers. She also oversees Lynda Randle Ministries, an organization devoted to spiritual healing and community outreach. Reggie Smith remains active as well. Together with Lady Love Smith, he performs at select events, mentors young musicians, and works behind the scenes as a voice producer and arranger in Nashville. The couple occasionally participates in Gaither Records projects and local church gatherings, keeping their ministry alive in new forms. Even though departures can be bittersweet, the legacy of the Gaither Vocal Band extends far beyond any single voice. The strength of the ministry lies not only in its lineup, but in its enduring message, a message of hope, faith, and the transforming power of the gospel. Every member, past or present, has contributed to that sacred legacy. When one season ends, another begins, carrying the same light forward through new songs and new servants. The journeys of Reggie Smith and Lynda Randle remind us of an essential biblical truth. To everything, there is a season. Some seasons are meant for traveling the world and sharing God's word through music, while others are for resting, reflecting, or exploring new directions. Both artists followed God's timing instead of the expectations of others, a decision that deserves admiration. In the end, yes, both Lynda Randle and Reggie Smith left the Gaither Vocal Band. But no, there is no credible evidence of any conflict between them or with the group. Their departures came from personal, spiritual, and perhaps health-related reasons, natural transitions guided by faith and purpose. Their music, ministry, and the impact they made on countless lives remain alive in every song they shared and every heart they touched. As fans, our role is not to question their absence, but to thank God for their presence, for the years they sang humbly and passionately for His glory. As Lynda Randle once said, "God in the valley is still God on the mountain." And through every rise and pause in their journeys, both Reggie Smith and Lady Love Smith continue to live by that truth, serving with devotion, grace, and love.